and welcome to this video about the Summa Theologica. My name is Dave Palmer, and I'm going to share with you in this video, as the title shows, the one article of the Summa that fundamentally changed my life. And I will say that there are a lot of articles in the Summa that have changed my life. And of course, the Summa, as the name implies, is a summary of theology. It's a summary of really everything that we as Catholic Christians hold to be true. And there's a lot of really, really good articles and many life-changing ones. But this is the one that I would have to say, when I read it, was a major game changer. And it wasn't in the sense that it was something about, the nature of God, or even the soul or the body and all these interesting things, or the angels or virtues or the end of the world, or, all these things that Thomas talks about. But what this one article did was change the way I see the world. From the moment I wake up until the moment I go to bed at night, this is a game changer, okay? And every single second of my day has been changed because of this, okay? So hopefully you're intrigued a little bit by that introduction. And I'm actually going to share two articles. The second is the one that I particularly want to kind of hone in on and just highlight that as the one that was a game changer in my life. All right, so every day we experience beauty. Okay, you've probably seen a sunset like this, and you might stop for a moment and say, wow, that's really beautiful, right? And then you move on, or maybe you just take it in for a few minutes and maybe even say, wow, look at that beautiful sunset, right? And we should notice things like this. Okay, so that's kind of a hint of what I'm going to be getting at here. And in the first part of the Summa, question 45, article 7, Thomas asks whether in creatures is necessarily found a trace of the Trinity. So he's starting to hint here that, not hinting, he's asking the question, in creatures, can there be a trace of the Trinity? So we're going to learn something about the Trinity in creatures, okay? And that to me is pretty intriguing, right? And so he says every effect in some degree represents its cause, but diversely. Now, the processions of the divine persons are referred to the acts of the intellect and will, for the Son proceeds as the word of the intellect, and the Holy Spirit proceeds as love of the will. Therefore, in rational creatures possessing intellect and will, that's you, that's me, that's the angels, okay, we're all intellectual, we have intellect and we have will. It's not the caterpillar or the aardvark or the cow or the dog, right? That's you and me. These are rational creatures he's talking about, right? Irrational creatures possess intellect and will. There is found the representation of the Trinity by way of image. Okay, that's why it said that we are made to the image and likeness of God, right? Inasmuch as there is found in them the word conceived and the love proceeding. But in all creatures there is found, in all creatures, this is everything, from a rock to a sparrow to an earthworm to a orangutan and a kangaroo, right, is found the trace of the Trinity, inasmuch as in every creature are found some things which are necessarily reduced to the divine person as to their cause. All right, so right there you stop and you say, every creature, everything I see in the natural world especially, is telling me something about God. All right, so that's not even the article that I'm going to get at. Okay, this is the one, question 47, article 1, part 1. When I read this the first time, wow, this was amazing to me, and I hope it has a similar impact on you as well. Whether the multitude and distinction of things comes from God. All right, he's asking here, all the different creatures and the colors and the sizes and the shapes and the genus and the species, do they come from God, right? And so, as you go through your life, you may see some things like this. Certainly I see birds every day, right? I see butterflies most days, depending on the season. Fish, yeah, maybe not. And ants, maybe not doing what these ants are doing, but we see these. We see sunrises, we see sunsets, we see dogs and cats and caterpillars and clouds and, some pretty cool stuff, right? And we have a tendency to, I'm busy, I got to get to my next meeting. I don't really mention it, pay that close of attention to it. But look at what Thomas says, in this paragraph here, game changer for me, for reasons I'll explain right now. Thomas says, the distinction and multitude of things comes from the intention of the first agent, who is God. For he brought things into being in order that his goodness might be communicated to creatures and be represented by them. Okay, the creatures are representing the goodness of God. And because his goodness could not be adequately represented by one creature alone, he produced many and diverse creatures that was what was wanting to one in the representation of the divine goodness might be supplied by another. Okay, it's just think about that right there. So you see a bird, you see a sparrow, you see a dove, you see a cricket, a caterpillar, an earthworm, an inchworm, a walking stick. There's something about God that he's communicating, right? That the other creature maybe tells us something else about God, and maybe this creature tells us something else about God. But there's something, right? Doesn't that change the way you see the world? For goodness, which in God is simple and uniform, in creatures is manifold and divided, and hence the whole universe together participates the divine goodness more perfectly and represents it better than any single creature, whatever. When I read that, it was like poetry. It was so beautiful, and again, changed everything from seeing sunrises to birds to cats, and especially my fellow human beings, as the last one said, made to the image and likeness of God. So I created this little game or exercise that you can do with your kids if you have children or grandchildren, right? You got to get one of these boxes of crayons, right? And go out. You can even do this yourself, even if you don't have kids. And go out into nature and see if you can find things in nature that match these colors, leaves or grass or clouds or frogs. I don't know if you'll see a frog that beautiful, or sunsets. There's probably 4 or 5 colors right there in that sunset, or the clownfish, or leaves in the fall, or beautiful birds. Okay, so you try to match all these colors, and then think to yourself, what if you were asked to draw a picture? Would you like to have 64 crayons or 100 crayons, or would you like to have 3? Okay, God chose not to draw and communicate himself through 3 colors on the palette, so to speak. He chose millions and millions and millions of colors in his palette so that every single thing in creation somehow, some way, in some beautiful way tells us something about our Creator. And so I challenge you, tomorrow morning when you wake up, throw open the drapes, look at the sunrise, or I think in our case, tomorrow it's going to be raining. Look at the rain, look at the birds, look at the whatever you see outside, whether it be snow or anything, and connect it to God and thank him and say, God, this is communicating something of your goodness to me, and this is pretty cool. Okay? That's going to do it. I hope it's a life changer and a game changer for you as well. It certainly was for me. That is the one article in the Summa that fundamentally changed my life. And there are others as well, but this one in a very, very special way. Thank you for watching. God bless you.